Alright, hi everybody, True Earth is here. We had something happen yesterday. We lost somebody in the science community, a bigwig, Stephen Hawking. He finally died of, I guess, maybe old age. I don't know. It might have been complications due to ALS, I'm sure. Um, hate to sound like we're talking ill of the dead. I mean, a man passed on here, whether he was in on anything or not. I've been watching Stephen Hawking for quite some time now, and there's some really interesting things about him. If you use that other eye, if you get past the magic, and you just stop and look for a second, and again, I hate to be speaking ill of the dead. I'm thinking personally, I believe he was a victim.
Me too.
Yeah, we've been looking at this, and this isn't something, we don't have fun doing this, okay? But this is something that we think needs to be addressed because, again, I think he was a victim of this whole perpetuation of this faith of evolution, and we've got some evidence here we'd like you to check out. Well, mainly for one, I mean, Stephen Hawking, I guess he was a brilliant guy back in college. And then he got this ALS at 21 years old. In 1963, he was diagnosed with ALS, and his doctors gave him 3 years to live back in 63. And this was average. The average lifespan of someone upon being diagnosed with ALS is 4 years.
Right.
Just a mere 4 years. So they gave him 3 at age 21, and miraculously he pulled 55 years with ALS. Now, not everyone dies at 4 years. There's a guy that is actually famous in the community, ALS community, Jason Becker. He was the farthest to go, besides Hawking, of course. He made it 20 years, and that is a spike in the average worth making him famous. 20 years was a miracle. Now we've got the famous and brilliant Stephen Hawking now somehow making 55 years with ALS. It's just one little piece in the cog. It's just one thing to look at when you go, wait a minute, 55 years with ALS. You might be wondering why I'm saying this. There's a bigger picture here. It all connects to. Okay. The other thing about Stephen Hawking, from people from the True Earther perspective here, where we're looking to real science for answers, repeatable and demonstratable science for anything we want to, but we're going to believe. We need to see some kind of proof. And when you look into Stephen Hawking, you find out he was yet another dreamer, just like Einstein, with the magical universal speed limit to tie in his math we had talked about. Well, Stephen Hawking did the same thing, and this is why he is famous. He came up with a mathematical concept, I guess we could call it, in his head, and he even called it imaginary time. That was it, imaginary time. And this was the math that he needed to make anything he said about this. The idea of atoms and black holes coming to a point where some go in and some go out, so eventually they could evaporate. He had to come up with imaginary time to perpetuate that theory. Just a wild theory. Have you people ever smoked pot? Has anyone ever sat in a room listening to me that smoked pot with a few high school dropouts? This is the kind of stuff they come up with. Okay, this guy's, he's what it is he had ALS, and I believe he died at a young age, and this is evident in his teeth. Have you guys ever looked at his teeth?
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Yes, the early pictures of him, he's got these kind of big, chunky, busted up looking teeth, top and bottom. They're pretty wide.
Right.
Well, at a certain point, and I haven't pinpointed it really yet, but It's somewhere around 88, 1988 or so. I believe was when maybe an imposter was inserted. His teeth, his bottom teeth, he's got these four very, very standout little. They're like perfect rectangles, and they all have an even space between them, and they're just standing right up out of the bottom of his mouth. And there is no way that those big chunky bottom teeth don't shrivel up over time and become skinny. Not to mention this guy's he's a famous whatever, he's got the unlimited card, this guy. How about some dentures? How about say, hey, my mom, God bless, she got me some dentures, and we're like poor folks. This guy, did they get him worse dentures than he had? Because they're just not the same teeth. And look, if you look a little further into the length of his chin from his mouth, how originally the first Hawking had a longer chin, and this newer Hawking, he even looks younger. He's got better skin. They like, they're like the 88 and up. Okay, so there's that about the teeth. It's just another. This poor man in this wheelchair was just another pawn in this perpetuation of keeping us into space and evolution, which results in not having a creator, which a body without a creator cannot have a soul inhabiting it. This is their goal, to eliminate your awareness of having anything special inside you and bring you back to the idea that you came squirting out of the uglier end of a mud skipper. Okay, that being said, with the teeth, and God bless the man who passed away yesterday, but they've been giving this poor guy this.
The bag.
Yeah, the bag. That we used to call it the bag, but it's evolved over the years with him, just like we have apparently. It used to be like this black bean bag they just rested on his head, and it would literally translate his thoughts. Well, originally they had one of his students who was close enough to him to actually be able to make something out of this murmuring noise that he would just, it was just awful, the sounds he made. And this student could somehow figure out these awesome revelations.
Genius.
Yeah, the student was, not his wife. Maybe his wife wasn't emotionally, she could act, but you can hear this stuff in interviews. This guy isn't saying nothing that a student's going to be. Student was so smart, he could decipher out these riddles of space-time continuum.
You wouldn't see anything special if you passed inside the black hole. But once you pass a certain critical point, then you'd never be able to get out again, no matter how much rocket power you...
Yeah. Well, we sit here and gobble this shit up because we're all fans of, the X-Files. We all want to believe, we want to believe, and that's good enough for us, It's what's going to be on the test we got to pass to get the grade anyway, so make any kind of money, right? You don't want to believe in any of that crazy soul stuff when you got geniuses like this. Well, look at this bag they've got. Now it's like a collar that wraps around, well, it was. It eventually became like a collar that wrapped around the back of his head. And it did not plug in, and they willingly offer this, it does not plug into his body at all. That's it. It rests. Now, they're not using this technology for, putting it around terrorists' heads and finding out when we're going to blow up the next trade center. They're not running. You mean to tell me a poor little girl, if you got a daughter that can't talk, you can't get one of these collars and have it on you? Anyone with a disability that can't speak, let's get one of these headbands on them. And they can live this thing will read their minds. You don't even have, it's not invasive at all. We don't have these things everywhere, just Hawking. Hawking gets the magic bag because he's perpetuating this idea that you don't have a soul. Again, it's not Hawking. It was not Stephen Hawking. That man was no more a long time ago. And I don't know, that we're going to leave some links here. Maybe you guys might want to look into this. It's not so much that it's that important about Stephen Hawking, but it's that cog in the gear that he provided to generations, mine included, just more of this imaginary stuff that we're supposed to take as science. Anyway, guys, that's what we had to say on this one. I just thought I needed to get it out there. You guys take care and look into this a little bit. Wake up, guys. Come on.
Stay tuned.